Hi guys, this is Vysh from Vysh IAS. So we have done up to chapter 10 part 1. Now we are going to do the part 2 of it. So in the last part in chapter 10 we have seen August offer, Cripps mission, Quit India movement, all those things. So now next we'll continue from there, the timeline between 1939 and 1947. So here we'll see CR formula, Desai-Liaquat Pact, Wavell Plan, and of course the story of Subhash Chandra Bose, which we have been mentioning in each of the chapters previously, but today we'll see the actual story. So let's begin. First one, in the first slide we'll do two things: CR formula, or which is C. Rajagopalachari's formula. You see the picture in the left top, and Desai-Liaquat Plan. So what was the C. Rajagopalachari? We know, like, the Cripps mission, August offer, everything was failing, and Congress and Muslim League was coming into a deadlock often. So Indians themselves, they tried to devise a plan so that they could come together and then demand with a stronger voice against the British government. So C. Rajagopalachari, as you see in picture, was a senior veteran Congress leader who came up with this plan. Actually, it was tactically accepting the League's demand, the Muslim League's demand for Pakistan. Till now, INC never accepted it, but this was a tactical acceptance. We'll see how. Muslim League had to endorse Congress' demand for independence. So Muslim League should stay with Congress for demanding independence, common independence, but okay, and also League will cooperate to form the government at center. And after World War II, that is after the time British is ready to give us independence, that time a plebiscite, plebiscite is something like voting happens. People can directly vote. It is a form of, or a component of direct election. It's not so common in India, but there are things in polity which you will learn. There are things like referendum, plebiscite, direct action. There are 3-4 things actually. Plebiscite is one of them. So these are components of direct democracy, not the indirect one which we have in India. Okay, like here what we do, we elect our leaders and they will represent us in the parliament. But a direct is the thing where people will directly make decisions. Okay, that is called referendum and plebiscite. There are just 2 examples. There are more to it. So plebiscite was what was suggested by C. Rajagopalachari to decide whether Northwest and Northeast India wanted to have a separate nation or not, because that is what Jinnah was demanding. Jinnah was demanding from the beginning, like, we need a separate nation by taking regions from Northwest and Northeast. So he told, we'll do a plebiscite and let the people decide. So till then, stay with INC to demand independence, a common independence. And in case of acceptance of partition, in case a plebiscite tells like, yes, we need to go separate, then even then, defense, communication and commerce, this has to be with the common center. So Pakistan, or the regions which the Pakistan people were demanding, the Muslim League, that regions will be given autonomy, but defense, communication, commerce should be with a common center. This is what Rajagopalachari suggested. Now, do you think Jinnah will agree to it? Jinnah will obviously want a major actual partition where he wants his own ruling for defense, communication and commerce. So Jinnah told he's only bothered about the two-nation theory, not of independence of union. And even if plebiscite has to be done, he just told, even if plebiscite has to be done, only Muslims from the Northwest and Northeast will vote. So that is, again, he's coming back to the same point. He wanted a Muslim nation where he will have his own governance. So that is how CR formula also could not successfully take off. So that is about CR formula. Obviously, Hindu leaders were opposing. Veer Savarkar is one of them. Veer Savarkar condemned the plan. Okay, where did we study Veer Savarkar? We studied when he gave a statement after 1857 revolt. He told it is the first war of Indian national independence. He was the one who gave that statement, 1857, as the first war of Indian independence. Okay, so you see Desai-Liaquat Plan. So who is Desai and Liaquat? It is Gulabhai Desai, who was an INC member, and Liaquat Ali Khan, who was a Muslim League member. So there were people within the Muslim League also who were okay with not going for partition, and we need a common independent India. So these 2 leaders came together with a plan. These are the photographs we saw in the cover page also. So they told equal member from Congress and League at the center. Okay, and in other places 20% reserved seats for the minority. So they suggested like, let's come together, we'll give equal membership for both of them. So Jinnah don't have to worry about governance. He'll be equally represented in the center, and also minority is being reserved everywhere. So this was the plan. But what happened? Both the parties now this time did not agree, INC and the Muslim League, and the situation went to the deadlock again. So both CR formula and Desai Liaquat plan, you should know the timeline. It came after Quit India movement around the year 1943-44, and these two were failures. It was not successful. Next big thing is Wavell Plan, which comes in 1945, which is again repeatedly asked by UPSC in one form or the other, let it be prelims, mains or optionals. What was the reasons? Conservative party led by Churchill was keen to reach a solution soon, as the election were due in England. Like we have already seen, like in India we have Congress and BJP. In England at that time we had Conservative Party and Labour Party. So they will be ruling 5 years and again changing. They will be keeping on interchanging alternatively. So Conservative Party led by Churchill, whose atrocities of the man-made famine and all we saw already in the last video, he did not want to leave things pending and give things in the hands of Labour Party, because they considered Labour Party as irresponsible, and they did not want Labour Party to take credit of anything or any good thing which happens in India. So there was a pressure from allies to seek India's cooperation, because the war has not yet ended. So USA, USSR, everybody was telling UK to seek India's cooperation, because Japan or Germany else will overtake the primacy in land also. The government wanted to divert India's these two channels more profitable to Britain. So again same thing, they wanted India's energies, the India's true Indian men, Indian support, which will be profitable, not profitable to India. So all these were reasons for Wavell Plan to be formalized by the British government or Churchill's government. So what is the actual plan? Except Governor General and Commander in Chief, rest all Indians in Executive Council. So now you have seen the growth of Executive Council. If you have seen all my videos till now, the Executive Council has been growing right from 1909, where India got first membership. Satyendra Sinha was the first person. Then 1919 in Montagu reforms, 3 out of 8 people became. Then after that, last time we saw 8 out of 12 people will become during Cripps mission. Now the entire council will be Indians. Everybody are Indians in Executive Council, but the Governor General and Commander in Chief will be the British people. Reconstructed council to act as interim government within framework of Government of India 1935. We will see the act later in the next chapter. I think chapter 11 is about all the acts. But so this is what they suggested: form an interim government by Indians alone, and then form the constitution. Governor General had veto power or advice of minister. So again they are doing almost the same thing like last time. Whatever Indians decide, veto power is not given to them. Veto is given to again the Britishers. So what is the point? Hindus and Muslims to have equal representation. So this is something like the Desai Liaquat plan again. Hindus and Muslims to have equal representation. Representatives of separate parties to submit nominations to the Executive Council. Possibilities to be kept open for own constitution once the war was won. So it is again like half-heartedly they are telling own constitution thing will be like there will be a possibility once the war is won. So they actually immediately what they wanted the support of Indians and Indian men in the war. So for that they are trying to appease the Indians. So that is the conditions given in the Wavell Plan. Now what did Muslim League say? Wanted sole authority to nominate Muslims. See, I'll tell you the condition, the fourth point. If you see in the plan, Hindus and Muslims to have equal representation, and representatives of separate parties to submit nominations to the Executive Council. So they will start giving nominations, like this is the member from our side. So Muslim League had a problem because INC played a trick here. INC because they were not much happy with the Wavell Plan, they wanted to again end it in a deadlock. So what they did, INC will move forward, I think, Abul Kalam Azad's nomination from INC side. Okay, and he is a Muslim. So Muslim League now came up with an argument like INC is not the one who should represent Muslims, and you don't have any right to nominate a Muslim name. We are the representatives of Muslims, and only we will represent. You should do a Hindu name or some other religion. You should not represent Muslims. So Congress played a trick which was again successful. Jinnah objected. Because Congress actually did this because they did not want to be branded again as a Hindu party. Okay, they wanted to represent all, and also as I told, they were not happy with the Wavell Plan. So ultimate aim was to create a deadlock, and that is what actually happened. A deadlock happened, and something is called as a Wavell's blunder. When all these things were happening, and Congress actually did not do anything wrong. They represented everyone, so they pushed forward a Muslim name. But Wavell immediately told the talks are done. We are not going to proceed over this. So what happened? Now Muslim League is like actually they felt like okay, what we told is correct. So Wavell's blunder, this is called. It boosted Jinnah's position as seen in 1945-46 elections. The next elections will come, and that time we will see Muslim League is like getting lot of votes and not like the earlier provincial elections in 1937 in India. Okay, so this is the whole Wavell Plan. Another thing is this whole meeting or discussion happened at Shimla. So it is also sometimes called as Shimla Conference. Actually, Shimla is famous for a lot of meetings like this. Even after independence, a lot of meetings happens. Wherever a deadlock or something happens and serious decisions are to be taken, Shimla is considered as a place where they all people gather together and make decisions. So this is about Wavell Plan. Now we are going to go for the story of Subhash Chandra Bose or the Indian National Army. Okay, we will be doing it in 2-3 slides because Subhash Chandra Bose is always important. So the idea of Indian National Army was not actually conceived by Subhash Chandra Bose. You should know like it was Mohan Singh, who you see in the picture in the right. Okay, in Malaya, that is in the Southeast Asian part. We'll see it in different phases. So this is the beginning. He left the British Indian Army and turned to Japanese for help. We are talking about Mohan Singh, okay? Because he was part of the British Indian Army, and obviously Britishers were being hated at this time, and India wanted independence from British. So he thought like Japan is now moving towards Indian land, and he should take Japanese for help because they were one of the strongest nation now. They had already defeated Russia separately before the world wars, and they were a supreme power now. Even being a small island country, they had the power to overturn supremacies in land. So he turned to Japanese for help. Japan handed over the prisoners of war to Mohan Singh. So a lot of prisoners of wars were there, Indians basically. They were all handed over to Mohan Singh to form his own army. By 1942, this is actually the timeline parallel to, we didn't actually discuss this during our CRIP mission or something, we are discussing it separate. So the timeline if you see is 42, even before Wavell Plan is happening. So about 40,000 people were, the prisoners of war were ready to join INA, Indian National Army, but they were planning to enter India only if invited by INC. So the INC people are having their own separate talks with the British, and Mohan Singh is having his own plan, but he will enter India only with the permission. He will not simply come just like that. Also kept ready the army to counter any possible Japanese invasion on India. So if you remember, Japan had reached till Rangoon, and that is when they sent the Cripps mission and all. So he kept his army ready because he did not want now Japan to come and rule. Already they have been suffering for 200 years with the British. They did not want another supreme power to come and control the land of India. So differences rose between Japanese and Mohan Singh because they came to know like Mohan Singh can go against the Japanese also. Also the number of people, Japanese actually they had promised initially like they will give this much sources, this much people, this much resources, but at the time of actual need they used to go back from what they promised. So there were small differences between Mohan Singh and Japanese. This is the phase 1, that is the initial phase where INA was actually formed. Now phase 2 is when Subhash Chandra Bose arrives in Singapore in 1943. It is a very big story and long story. There is a movie actually, Boss, Boss the Forgotten Hero. An Indian movie is there, Bollywood movie. You should watch that movie. It shows the life of Subhash Chandra Bose, his professional, personal, and how he was under house arrest and he escapes from his own house and travels a lot actually in disguise. He will go to Afghanistan, then he will go to Central Asia, go to Europe and meet Hitler. This is the picture when he meets Hitler, the actual photograph. And then he goes to Russia, he goes to Japan. That is why at last he will end up in Singapore in 1943 after all these efforts, because he was ready to shake hands with anyone who is against the British. And he was ready to, and also he wanted independence immediately. If you remember, we have discussed this in the previous chapter also. When Nehru and Gandhi were ready to support British in the World War for certain conditions, Subhash Chandra Bose told, no, we should not believe the British, we should get independence for ourselves through our own army, through struggle, through armed struggle. So we'll see that story. Before he left India, 1938 and 39, both the sessions of INC, Subhash Chandra Bose actually made the president. okay, because he was a youth leader that time and he had a strong voice to influence people. So he was made the president at Haripura and Tripuri sessions. We should remember this, 38 and 39. From 40 onwards, it will be Abdul Kalam Azad. You should know that also. He will become I think the first education minister, Abdul Kalam Azad, post-independence. So these are certain facts which you should relate when you read something. And also Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose had differences. This was asked in UPSC mains, the differences between, actually Ambedkar Gandhi is also asked and Subhash Chandra Bose Gandhi is also asked. So again you have to prepare for Gandhi, maybe Gandhi Rabindranath Tagore or Gandhi Nehru. You have to learn all the things whenever Gandhi comes into picture. 1940, what happens? 1940 he formed the Forward Bloc. Forward Bloc is a movement started by him when he was in India itself. 1941 he fled India. He was actually under house arrest. This is what I told you. If you watch the movie, you will clearly understand how he escapes very cleverly from his own house when police is actually guarding outside his house. He escapes and he goes with the help of 2 or 3 good friends which he had. His journey is via Afghanistan, Central Asia and then to Russia. So Afghanistan, you know, we have already learnt in chapter 4 part 3, like Afghanistan had become an independent country by that time. There is no Britishers there, okay. It was under Dost Muhammad Khan. We have learnt all that in detail in chapter 4 part 3. Please watch that, the annexation of British in neighboring countries of India. So he escapes and he reaches Russia. After that he joined the Allies in World War II. Oh sorry, it's like the other way around. He went to Russia hoping, because he also had leftist and socialist ideology, but where did the Russians join in the World War II? Russians joined with British. So how can he ask Russia for help now? So he shifted his help or this request to Germany, even though he was not in support of all the Hitler's policies, which is considered very brutal, but he wanted Germany's help because he was the most powerful dictator or ruler at that time of the world history. So finally Hitler told, okay, Japan will provide you the people. So that is how he, with the help of German funding or help, he will reach Japan. So that is the phase 2. He will set up a strong Indian National Army. So the idea of Mohan Singh was brought into a more stronger vision or version by Subhash Chandra Bose. The conclusion, the third phase or the final phase of Indian National Army. Subhash Chandra Bose was welcomed in Singapore by Rash Bihari Bose. This name we have been seeing multiple times. There are 2 people actually, Rash Bihari Ghosh and Rash Bihari Bose. Ghosh is the one who will be there in the assembly or the INC sessions. He will even become the president after the Surat split, if you remember, 1907 and 1908. But Rash Bihari Bose is a revolutionary. He was part of Delhi conspiracy. You should remember all these things. Delhi conspiracy with Sachin Sanyal, and he was also a part of the Gadar movement in India. But what happened? Leakage of news happened and they had to flee. Sachin Sanyal was arrested and Rash Bihari Bose fled to Japan, if you remember. So that story continues over here. Subhash Chandra Bose is welcomed by Rash Bihari Bose. He set up a provincial government with headquarters at Rangoon and Singapore. So Subhash Chandra Bose now had his own army and kind of a provincial government itself. This was recognized by the Axis powers. Axis powers is the rivals of Allies, that is rivals of Britain. INA had many regiments, including a women regiment. So not only men, the prisoners of war, they had women also. Rani Jhansi regiment. See the picture of women in Indian National Army. The name of the lady next to Subhash Chandra Bose is Captain Lakshmi. That also we will see. India's last war of independence, that is what they called it. Because after this, definitely independence will get. And although he had differences with Gandhi, Gandhi knew about this and Gandhi gave his blessings for the movement. He did not support directly, but he gave his blessings. INA regiment under Shahnawaz Khan accompanied Japanese army in Imphal campaign, but were ill-treated, denied food and ration supplies, arms, etc. This is what I told. Japanese will tell like they will provide you all the things, but at the last minute they will backstab. They won't give the things. Also, Japanese got weaker and retreated from them. Meanwhile, what happened? The World War II, how did it proceed? It's not the Axis power who wins. Hitler will be trapped from all sides. Japan will become weak, and the British was gaining more land. That time, they had to go back from Indian soil. This was a huge setback for INA because they were depending on Japan and Germany and they were losing. So what will happen? INA people will have to surrender or they will be arrested. So many were later court-martialed or hanged. This is what happened before World War II. But after World War II also, the hangings continued. Mass protest in India against actions on INA prisoner of wars, edge of the volcano. The people were at its peak. They could not bear leaders like Subhash Chandra Bose or others being arrested or hanged. So protest was going on. So British, what they did is to create the fear in the minds of people or to create that they are still create the impression that they are still the supreme power. They planned for a public hanging at Red Fort, actually the public hanging, and they selected 3 people in such a way that all 3 are from different religions. Okay, Prem Kumar Sehgal, Shahnawaz Khan, Gurbaksh Singh Dillon, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Sikh. They were purposely chosen that way and hanged publicly at Red Fort in November 1945. So the World War has ended and this hanging is done. INA prisoner of war were again used in different colonies of Indonesia and Vietnam. So the bad fate of prisoner of war continued. All this led to mass agitation across India and which became the theme of the elections. So 45-46 elections were due in India, and Congress, what they'll do, they'll use all these sentiments for their election campaigning. Post World War II happenings in England and India. So right side bottom you see this is a book related to that, the INA trial and the Raj. Back in England, the Labour Party, if you remember, Winston Churchill was the one Conservative Party, he lost, and now Labour Party won the elections under Clement Attlee. We'll see in the next part, next video, about a statement given by Clement Attlee where he declares independence for India. August 1945, elections in India were announced and also promise was made to form a constituent assembly and would work according to the spirit of Cripps offer. So they are now pro-India or pro-independence of India. Now what was the reason for sudden change in attitude of this British government? It's a new government, and now what were the reasons? Change in balance of global power. Now, like you know, after World War II, Britain had lost its supremacy in world map. If you know, till then England was the most powerful country where industrial revolution started, where all the richness were there, and England was considered the supreme power of the world. But after World War II, USA and Russia became 2 global powers. You will learn in world history later about their Cold War and all the stories about USA and USSR. So now Britain lost its relevance. So they did not want to continue it, the colonialism. They wanted to work on their government and their country. Labour Party more sympathetic to Indian demands and independence. So the people also, they were not a kind of imperialistic people. They were little more considerate. British economy was shattered and the military was totally exhausted. Again the result of World War. Lot of socialist radicals spread across European nations. So Europe had their own problems and socialism were trying to enter. So they did not want to take any risk in degrading their economy or their society. So they wanted to get rid of all the colonies now. Any anti-imperialistic sentiments in South and Southeast Asia were at peak. So again they are facing anti-government sentiments from all its colonies, not only India. If you actually know the independence year of most of the countries in Asia and Africa, it will be close to this time only, 1940s to 1960s. After the World War I, most of the colonies were liberated and they became independent. British feared another mass movement like Quit India movement in 1942. So they did not want to take risks, they did not want to invest more in forces, or they did not want to fight or try to stop the Indians in mass struggle. British realized that they have to retreat anyway, so just speed up the process. So British were already understanding like now they cannot rule Indians without their permission. So they just wanted to end it, speed it up. So those are the reasons. So I think if a question is asked like why a sudden change happened after post-World War, you should be able to write a good answer now. We have given you enough points, just elaborate on each point, 2 liners about each. Congress election campaigns, like I told, 1945-46 elections were in due. So they used these sentiments, the public hanging, the Quit India movement, suppression, the arrest of people, the sentiments against the Subhash Chandra Bose story. Everything was used by Congress leaders to get the votes because they wanted to overthrow the British Empire forever. Bhulabhai Desai, Tej Bahadur Sapru, Kailash Nath Kajju, Nehru, these were all lawyers at that time, okay, and they were in court defending the INA prisoners. Like you remember, all the INA prisoners were arrested and 3 of them were publicly hanged. So the others, they made a INA defense committee. As you see in the picture, Jawaharlal Nehru is standing there in front of it, and the bottom right also you see lot of lawyers along with Jawaharlal Nehru. These people try to defend the cases of the INA people and try to release them because elections are near and they wanted to have some goodwill from the people. INA Relief and Inquiry Committee distributed small sum of money and food, helping getting employment too. Mass campaigning, distributing pamphlets. This is all general election things which already even now the politicians will do. Wide geographical range, so it was spread across India. If you see, even Balochistan is there, Madras is there, Assam is there, so all directions, all parts of India. Funds were raised from film stars. So now at that time, Indian movie industry also gained popularity. So film stars, municipalities, gurudwaras, Indians living abroad, there was not even a single class or section from which funds were not coming in. Huge INA support by closing shop, protest on sea. So small boycott also was happening. INA support was extended not only by the INC but by all parties. Like, so it was not like till now we had seen differences from communist or leftist. They will go and tell their own version of each event, but here everyone is united. Too much pressure on British government. Each day the difference between British rule and need for Indian rule was highlighted. So every day the story of independence, the need for independence, and Indians ruling over by Indians themselves, this story was being used for election campaigns. So obviously election result would be positive. Meanwhile, 45-46, few events happen, okay, which are very much important in the story of independence. We see what are they. November 21, 1945. So the war is ended, and that time student processions comprising of forward bloc sympathizers. Okay, forward bloc was started by Subhash Chandra Bose. So SFI, Students Federation of India, at that time also new bodies with the youth and activists of Islamia College. They all marched to a place called Dalhousie Square in Calcutta. So all against the INA trials. But again they had to retreat, facing lathi charge, and firing was initiated which killed 2 persons. That is one event. Next event is 1946. Again 7-year sentence to INA officer Rashid Ali. One officer was given 7-year sentence. Okay, even though lawyers were trying to defend them, he got 7-year sentence. So this was led by Muslim League, students from some Congress and communist bodies. Students defied section 144, arrest, lathi charge initiated. So even if curfew or something was declared, people did not care and they were on the streets protesting. And this is the third event and one of the most important among the three. 1946 itself, the Royal Indian Mutiny and the strikes in Bombay. Okay, this is the newspaper cuttings. You can see everybody were on the street. This is actually a story of a ship called Talwar. Indian naval men protest against British white officers on Talwar for various reasons. There was discrimination happening inside the ship, unpalatable food, abuse by superior officers, INA trials, equal pay for Indian and British troops, use of Indian troops in Indonesia, arrest of Navy men for writing Quit India on Talwar. So Navy men just wrote Quit India on the ship and they were arrested. And following up, knowing these stories, back in the mainland also, mass protest in Bombay was happening with extending full support to the Royal Indian Navy. So this becomes very important. If you see the points or reasons for the Royal Indian Mutiny is almost similar to the 1857 mutiny. The discrimination or the degradation of Indian officers compared to British officers. So these are three important events. But what happened was Jinnah and Patel interpreted and asked them to end it. So these people did not get any support actually from the senior Congress leaders or the Muslim League or anyone in the any party here, because they were sure like independence is sure to come now soon. So at that time they did not want any unorganized mutinies like this. They wanted a formal struggle, not something like a random thing in pockets of areas here and there. So they asked them to end the whole thing. Evaluation and impact of the upsurges. Fearless action by the masses. We are just seeing the impact of it. In case you need to write an answer about these kind of events, Royal Indian Mutiny, you need points. So fearless action by the masses, militancy in the minds of the people. RIN revolt was seen as a final blow on British rule. British announced that only those INA members accused of murder and brutal treatment of others would be brought to trial. So others who were just shouting slogans or were on the street marching, they will not be brought to trial. Only the ones who is in charge of brutal things. they will be brought to trial. Indian soldiers are withdrawn from Indochina and Indonesian regions. Indochina doesn't mean the actual country China, it means the regions in Southeast Asia, the east of India, Myanmar, Thailand and all those regions. Life imprisonments were committed. So you see everything is like happening good now. Decision to send a parliamentary delegation, cabinet mission was made. This we'll see in the part 3 of chapter 10, cabinet mission and the D-Day or the killings, Great Calcutta killings, all those things will be done in the next part. But the upsurges were limited to few cities, unlike the INA support. So INA, if you see, it was across India, but this RIN was supported only in limited cities. Also, the Hindu-Muslim unity was not as progressive as it was evident. Okay, the Muslim member of RIN ought advice of the League while others to Congress. So even though Hindus and Muslims were both involved, they were not having a definite unity. For any advice, Hindus will go to Congress and Muslims will go to Muslim League. So there is, at ground level, there is no unity. Congress strategy. Gandhi remarked, idea of mutiny was doubly wrong, should have involved leaders. So Gandhi is also against the Royal Indian Navy mutiny. INC did not support them officially because of wrong timings and tactics. As we told, now it is like we almost got independent. At that time we should not do anything foolish. It was a violent struggle, unlike earlier peaceful demonstration, because if you know, Gandhi believed in peaceful demonstrations, but this was a little bit violent. Disciplined army was a must in free India, because after independence we need an organized army, okay? But if such kind of mutiny happens and undisciplined behavior is shown by the army, then how will a nation run successfully? So that is the version, or that is the defense given by Congress leaders. Election results. INC got 57 out of 102 seats, that is 91% non-Muslim votes. No need to read remember the numbers. You need to again know they were winning in non-Muslim votes, and again Muslim League will get all the 30 reserved seats, that is the entire Muslim votes they will get, and they are now a dominant party, not like the 1937 provincial election. They have been more established, and almost they were in, like, even if the plebiscite, according to that CR formula, if the plebiscite had happened at this time, it maybe partition would have easily happened that time itself. So Jinnah has become a strong person at that time. So this is part 2 of chapter 10. We are stopping here because we want to make it one more part, so that cabinet mission and the actual independence of India and the partition can be explained properly. That is why we are making one more part. That will be the last part. We will see MCQs, 2 related to Subhash Chandra Bose. Which of the INC sessions were presided over by Subhash Chandra Bose? We have done in this video, so you will be able to answer. Next question, Subhash Chandra Bose defeated the nominee put forward by Gandhi for the presidentship of INC in 1939. Who was that nominee? This actually I saw in some mock question somewhere. It's also available in our PDF. So Subhash Chandra Bose, you know, 1938 and 39, 2 times he became the president, but Gandhi had put someone else as nominee against him. So who was that? I have not mentioned here. Try to Google this and find out. If you don't find out, just tell me in comments. I will tell you the answer in comments. But please attempt it. Try to attempt it. One more question. Identify the plan proposal as per the below features. So this is how UPSC will frame questions. They will give you the some of the 1 or 2 points from there, from any scheme, any plan, and ask you which one is it, because everything is almost nearby in timeline and it is almost the same. You will get confused. So you should know what is the answer of this. So please try to answer this. Only then I will understand whether you understood or not. Now one more part we will do, chapter 10, and that will be end of chapter 10. After that we have chapter 11 onwards, which are small chapters, and we can, I think, quickly finish. Maybe in 3-4 days time we can finish it. So once entire spectrum is done, we will think of some other series. Okay, maybe polity or something we will take up. But please give your feedback or suggestions so that we can plan accordingly. And history being very important in prelims, that is why we decided to do it first. So please give your feedback, buy the MCQs, because practicing MCQs is the key to a successful UPSC candidate. So please buy it, and like our page, facebook.com Vysh IAS. Subscribe to this YouTube channel also, so that you get notified when we post videos. Okay, so till we come up with the next video, thank you and have a nice day.